No one noticed it at first. That was the most unsettling part. When the camera stopped rolling and the final cut echoed to the studio, something in Sukai shifted subtly, almost invisibly, to the casual observer. It looked like another routine wrap. Cast members smiled, staff clapped, and the usual celebratory chatter filled the air. But if you look closely, really closely, you'll see it. The moment his expression changed. Because while everyone else was letting go of the story, Sukai wasn't. Standing just a few steps away was Tan Songyun, still in partial costume, her laughter soft but measured. There was something fragile in her eyes that day, something fans would later dissect frame by frame. She smiled, yes, but her gaze lingered not on the crew, not on the cameras, but on him. And he noticed. That's where everything begins. Insiders say Sukai didn't immediately join the rap party. While others moved toward celebration, he stayed behind, pacing slowly across the now-quiet set. His hands were clenched, not tightly, but enough to suggest something was being held back. A thought, a feeling, a decision. It wasn't exhaustion. It wasn't distraction. It was conflict. Fans who later analyzed behind-the-scenes clips pointed out how he kept glancing toward the exit, where Tan Songyun had just disappeared. Not once, not twice, repeatedly, as if waiting, as if debating whether to follow. But he didn't. Not then. Instead, he sat down, alone, on one of the unused props. His posture changed. The confident, composed Sukai that audiences knew seemed to dissolve into something quieter, heavier. His shoulders dropped slightly, and his gaze fell to the floor. For a long moment, he didn't move. What happened in that silence has become one of the most talked-about mysteries among fans. Because shortly after, something unexpected occurred. A staff member, whose identity remains undisclosed, revealed that Sukai asked for something unusual. Not a ride, not a drink, not even his manager. He asked for access to the playback footage. Specifically, scenes he had filmed with Tan Songyun, and not just the big emotional moments, not the dramatic confrontations or romantic highlights that would eventually make it into the final cut. He wanted the quiet scenes, the in-between moments, the ones most actors barely revisit. Why? That's the question that changed everything. For nearly an hour, Sukai reportedly sat in a dimly lit corner, watching those scenes over and over again. No one disturbed him. No one dared to. But those who passed by couldn't ignore what they saw. He wasn't watching like an actor reviewing performance. He was watching like someone searching for meaning. His eyes didn't flicker with critique. They softened, at times. His lips parted slightly, as if about to speak. Once, he leaned forward, elbows on his knees, completely absorbed. And then, this is what stunned witnesses. He paused the footage on a frame of Tan Songyun. Not a glamorous shot, not a scripted moment. Just her looking at him. The room, they say, felt different after that. Because something had shifted. Online, fans would later piece together clues from interviews, fan cams, and leaked behind-the-scenes clips. One moment, in particular, caught global attention. During a casual off-camera exchange, Tan Songyun had asked Sukai a simple question. Something about how he interprets emotional scenes. His response? He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked at her. Not briefly, not casually. He held her gaze for a few seconds too long. Then he smiled. But it wasn't the kind of smile he usually gives. It was softer, almost hesitant, as if the answer he wanted to give wasn't meant for the cameras. And he changed the subject. That clip alone sparked thousands of theories. Was it professional admiration, emotional immersion, or something deeper that neither of them was ready to confront? But what truly unsettled fans came after filming officially ended. Because Sukai didn't just move on to his next project. He disappeared, briefly but noticeably. No immediate public appearances. No celebratory posts. No usual post-rap interviews filled with laughter and behind-the-scenes stories. His social media activity slowed, almost to a halt. For someone in his position, that silence was loud. And when he finally resurfaced, something about him felt different. In a later interview, when asked about his recent project, Sukai spoke carefully. Too carefully. He praised the team, the script, the experience. But when Tan Songyun's name came up, There was a pause, a visible one. His expression changed again, that same subtle shift from the final day on set. He smiled, but his eyes didn't quite follow. It was, he began then stopped, memorable. Just one word. But the way he said it sent waves through the fandom. Because it didn't sound like a conclusion. It sounded like something unfinished. Even more intriguing was Tan Songyun's own response in a separate interview. Let go. And as more unseen clips begin to surface, one thing is becoming increasingly clear. That story between Soo-kai and Tan Songyun may not have ended when the cameras stopped. In fact, it might have only just begun. What happened next in Unfold in public? It unraveled in fragments, in whispers, in moments so subtle that only the most observant fans could piece them together. Because just when it seemed like Soo-kai had retreated into silence, something resurfaced. Something no one was supposed to notice. It started with a single clip, not from the official release, not from promotional footage, but from a quiet, behind-the-scenes recording that somehow slipped through. In it, Soo-kai is standing off-camera, unaware he's being filmed. The scene in front of him isn't even his. It's Tan Songyun delivering an emotional monologue. But he's watching, and the way he watches, it doesn't look like acting anymore. His expression is still, almost too still. His lips are slightly parted, his breathing shallow, as if he's holding on to something fragile. When Tan Songyun's voice trembles during the scene, his eyes flicker. Not dramatically, not in a way meant for performance, but instinctively, like someone reacting, not rehearsing. And then it happens. She finishes the scene. The director calls cut. Everyone relaxes, but Soo-kai doesn't. For a split second, barely noticeable, his gaze lingers on her, even after she stepped out of character. It's not admiration. It's not pride. It's recognition. As if, in that moment, he saw something he wasn't prepared for. Fans who slowed down that clip frame by frame notice something even more unsettling. Just before he looks away, his jaw tightens, subtly but unmistakably. A reaction so raw it couldn't have been scripted. What was he holding back? And why did it look like letting go wasn't an option? The questions only grew louder when a series of old interview clips began resurfacing online. Moments that once felt ordinary now seemed charged with hidden meaning. In one particular interview, both Soo-kai and Tan Songyun were asked to describe each other in one word. Tan Songyun answered first. Safe, she said. There was a pause after that word, long enough to feel intentional. Then all eyes turned to him. Soo-kai didn't respond immediately. Instead, he looked at her again. That same look, that same hesitation. As if the simplest question had suddenly become the most complicated. When he finally spoke, his voice was softer than expected. Unexpected. Just one word, but it carried weight. Because unexpected isn't just a compliment. It's a revelation. It implies something unplanned. Something that wasn't supposed to happen, but did. And suddenly, everything started to make sense. The rewatch footage, the silence after filming, the way he couldn't quite finish his sentences when she was mentioned, the way she described him, not as talented, not as professional, but as safe. Safe enough to feel something, or dangerous enough to change everything. Behind the polished industry facade, a different story seemed to be unfolding. One that didn't follow scripts or schedules. A story built on pauses, glances, and words left unsaid. And then came the moment that shifted everything once again. A fan, attending a private industry event weeks after filming Wrapped, shared a detailed account that quickly spread across global fan communities. According to the post, Soo-kai arrived late, uncharacteristically late, and noticeably quieter than usual. He greeted people politely, smiled when required, but there was a distance in his demeanor until someone mentioned her name. Tan Songyun. The reaction was immediate, not exaggerated, not dramatic, but real. His posture changed. His shoulders stiffened slightly, and his gaze dropped for a brief second before he forced a smile. Not the effortless one fans were used to, but a controlled one, a careful one. And then he did something unexpected. He excused himself. No explanation. No lingering conversation. He just left. That moment alone ignited a storm of speculation. Because leaving isn't avoidance. It's a choice. a deliberate act of stepping away from something that feels too close, too intense, too unresolved. And if that wasn't enough, insiders later revealed that Soo-kai had quietly declined a follow-up project that would have reunited him with Tan Songyun on screen. No scheduling conflict, no official reason, just a quiet refusal. For an actor at his level, turning down such an opportunity doesn't happen without cause, unless the story they shared wasn't something he was ready to revisit. Or worse, something he couldn't risk continuing. Now, fans across the United States, Asia, and Europe are connecting the dots, building theories, rewatching every interaction with new eyes. Because this doesn't feel like coincidence anymore. It feels like something real slipped through the cracks of fiction, something unscripted, something unfinished. And the deeper you look, the more unsettling it becomes. Because every clue seems to point to the same question no one can answer. What truly happened between Soo-kai and Tan Songyun when the cameras weren't rolling? And if this is what we're only just beginning to see, then what are they still hiding? Because the truth is no longer buried. It's surfacing piece by piece. And the next revelation might change everything you thought you knew. So now the real question is, are you ready to uncover what comes next, or will you look away just before the truth finally reveals itself?